righty. Joining us now on Gangs All Here is the man of the hour, friend of the program. The first time he came on the show, he's promoting his barbecue sauce. And now he's promoting his own accomplishments on Sunday at MetLife Stadium. At halftime, he will join the Jets Ring of Honor. 11 seasons in a Jets uniform, 7 Pro Bowl appearances, 2 trips to the AFC Championship game, and 1 trip into our hearts. Let's welcome back to the podcast the center with the beard of Zeus, Nick Mangold. Nick, congratulations on the Ring of Honor. Welcome to the show, Jake Brown, Brian Costello. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much. It was a beautiful intro.
Thank you very much. That's what I pride myself on as a bar mitzvah MC on the side. Well, Nick, Sunday is the big day at halftime. Your name is going up into the lights, into the Ring of Honor. What an accomplishment. I know you've talked a lot about it to the media, but just your initial thoughts on joining such a cool class of characters.
Yeah, it's crazy. Coming out into the stadium for as many times as I did and seeing the names along the ring there, and knowing that on Sunday I'm going to see my name up there kind of blows my mind. Like it's kind of crazy. You never really expect coming into, I know some guys like, oh, you know what, I want to have this great career and I want to go to the Hall of Fame and yada, yada, yada. But I don't know if anyone, truly believes that it can happen to them. And so I never had aspirations. I just wanted to be as good as I could be. And, fortunately it worked out very well. But it still hasn't really sunk in yet that, see my name up there next to Joe Willie's, which is crazy.
Nick, and this is probably even kind of crazier to think about, but I'm not sure if it's crossed your mind. Like, your name's up there forever, right? Or at MetLife Stadium, the next stadium, they're going to have something, and like your grandkids are going to, Nick has small kids right now. His grandkids someday will see his name up there. And then Nick knows this very well from being in the field house at the Jets facility. They have the wall of the field house is all the guys in the Ring of Honor, giant pictures of them. So you're immortalized. Like, is that kind of crazy to think about?
Yeah, it's very crazy. And I'm a little concerned because I didn't get any input on the picture that they're going to put up in the field house. So I hope they picked it and got my good side. But it's crazy to me, that forever will be in, unless I do something really stupid, pull an OJ.
OJ's still in the stadium in Buffalo, Nick. So
there you go. Problem solved. I probably still won't go down that route. I think that's not for me really, but it's the idea, like you said, like your grandkids and children, like grandchildren, whether it be great or great or whatever. If the NFL continues as it, plans to do, so it's grandchildren that I'll never meet that will know that my name's up there is mind blowing.
Have you have you looked in a mirror, recited your speech, and do you have a box of Kleenex ready? Will the tears be flowing at all, Nick?
I have worked on my speech. I did not do it in front of a mirror. So that hasn't happened yet. I got it right at about 1:45. So I feel pretty good about that. It's quality speech writing, I think. And yeah, it was difficult. Like, do you go humorous, like a Peyton Manning style? Do you go, sentimental, where you probably will work up some of the tears? And so, I would love to go humorous. I just don't think I have the nerves to do that. I was joking around with my wife earlier that I was going to start the speech, and 7 years ago, crap, wrong one, and then get another piece of paper out and do the real one. But I don't know if I can pull that off. But it's tough because there's so many people that you want to mention and thank, and really 2 minutes is not a lot of time, and trying to make sure I get everybody in there. You don't want to leave off like a Ray Barone, leave off your wife and have to deal with that forever. So that's a big thing going through, like with fine tooth comb. Like, all right, did I hit everybody? Did I at least, without saying exact names, did I hit everybody and make sure I have it covered? So that was probably the hardest part of writing the speech.
Jets beat writers are included, right, Nick?
Of course, I think I said the media in there, which you would get included in under the umbrella. It's obvious.
Nick, do your kids comprehend this at all?
No, not really. I mean, I would say so. My oldest, who's now 11, he remembers games. He doesn't remember the nitty gritty of the seasons and everything, but he remembers going to games and Pro Bowls and stuff. So he understands, and it's starting to dawn on him that not everybody's daddy played in the NFL. So that's starting to hit home with him a little bit. The three younger ones. I mean, my youngest daughter wasn't even born until after I was done, so she really has no idea. But she does know, just I think by osmosis, that like I'm associated with green and white. There was one time she used to go to a gymnastics class around the corner, just right next to a Dunkin' Donuts, and she brought home a donut for me one time, and she picked it out because it's green. So she kind of just by osmosis she gets it. And the other two, I mean, my daughter gets it a little bit. My son, the other son, not so much. So I think it won't hit home for them probably until they're a little bit older.
Nick, in your retirement, you've been doing, fantastic stuff, from Mangold 74 barbecue sauce to your Answer the Call Foundation to chugging beers on local jumbotrons. I saw you many times at Madison Square Garden during the playoff run, chugging a beer at Yankee Stadium. I ran into, I think I pissed next to you in the Legends Club bathroom.
Oh, there you go.
You and Mark Sanchez,
nice,
a classic place to run into, former Jets offensive lineman. Will you chug a beer, especially if the Jets are down and need some rah-rah? Will you chug a beer on Sunday on the Jumbotron?
As long as it's after halftime. I have strict orders from the powers that be, which is my wife. That is the one power it be, that I am not allowed to do anything stupid before halftime. So she put the kibosh on that. But come mid third quarter, I'll chug 2 beers. It'll be fantastic.
Nick, I was around you a little bit in the beginning of your career, and I came on the beat sort of in the middle. But I don't think I realized now having gone through the last however many years covering the team, and these days it's like guys are here for 2 years and gone. Like it's been that way. Maybe it's changing with the last 2 draft classes, but that group from I'd say 06 to 12, probably. It seemed like you guys came in, you, Brick, Eric Smith, Leon, Brad Smith. Then they added Revis, Harris, Thomas Jones. Then Faneca, Damian Woody came in. Brandon Moore was there before you. Then the Sanchez group and Keller. That group was kind of like a special group that had this run together. Like, did you realize it at the time how special that was? And then when you look back on that, is that you kind of hear what I'm saying there about that group having longevity?
Yeah, I think at the time, I think we kind of understood that it was a special group. I don't think we understood how special it was, and how, I mean, Brandon Moore, I think I played next to Brandon Moore for eight straight years. So for 8 straight years, I had the same right guard next to me, where we got to a part where we didn't need to make calls to each other because we already knew. I knew what he was doing. He knew what I was doing, and like it just kind of flowed. And so you kind of, not that you took it for granted, but I don't think you realized just how special it was, for then like Brick and I being together for 10 years, growing up together in it. Dave Harris being there for as long as he did. I think he was another 10-year guy, 9-year maybe. And Reeve, being the great player that he was, and Dave's a funny one because he's a Michigan guy. So obviously I hate him. But he is the one Michigan guy that I actually do like. And so it's neat, thinking back to the time, and Dave's a great example. Like, he didn't get as much credit, I think, as he deserved while he was playing, just because he wasn't one of the Bosher swarms, the loud ones. You have Bart Scott. He's going to overshadow anybody as a linebacker. And so, just seeing the way that the guys put in work, and, taking from what the older guys like Brandon Moore, Alan Faneca, Damian Woody, you had Big Cat, he was here, and trying to think of other, like even back to, he was only here for a little bit of my time, John Bilma, watching Cromartie and Rivas be 1 and 2. It was high level competition, and that was pretty neat to see. And then, like you said, especially at my time, like it started, we had a lot of turnover. And I think that, when you're trying to build chemistry, especially offensive line, it's tricky. Like, you look back at the 08, 09 line, I think we started, I think it was like 26 straight games together or something like that. And it was a pretty decent streak at the time. And that was, you didn't realize like how much easier that made the job. Everyone being on the same page until you start piecemealing different guys in. And it's not to say that we didn't have great guys, towards the end of my career either. Willie Colon, Breno, we had Matt Slauson, and then Brian Winters coming through. So we had good guys, but it always seemed like as a whole team, like it was like, all right, well, we got a whole new set. Let's try it again. And you don't get that continuity as you would like.
It's pretty awesome too that October 30th, DeBrickashaw Ferguson will join you in the Ring of Honor. The guy that was next to you for almost your whole career. You're both up for the Hall of Fame, class of 2023. Are you a Hall of Famer? Do you belong in the Hall of Fame?
I don't know, Brian. You get a vote on that?
I don't get a vote, Nick.
Damn.
So you can't put me on the spot.
Would have had one right there.
No, it's funny. So I was fortunate enough to be, I started my list last year, and getting nominated for the opportunity. But it's one of those things that, and people have asked me, are you excited? Like, is it possible that, what do you think? Those type of things. And it's nice knowing I've done what I can do, other than, talk to whoever is the Jets representative voting and tell them, hey, let's make a case. But other than that, like, there's nothing I can do and nothing I can change to make it happen. So kind of just get to sit back and relax about it. And, it is very nice when people come up and say, you're going to get it this year. Like, and I do truly appreciate it. But at the same time, I make sure I tell everyone, don't hold your breath.
Well, what's your prediction? Gun to your head right now. Do you think you're going in?
I would like to believe that somewhere down the road I'll sneak in on a light class. Be like, fine, I guess we'll vote him. But
I mean, you're one of the best of your position. I think you deserve to be in at some point.
I would like to believe that. And I think that's part of being an offensive lineman. You shouldn't be tooting your own horn too much. And so it's, hopefully it works out. It would be an amazing honor. But right now, the Ring of Honor is a pretty monumental step for me. And so, like, the Hall of Fame is kind of somewhere way out there.
I've told Nick this story before, I think, and I actually was just telling the story to someone. I forget why, but the day I realized how good Nick was when he wasn't on the field. The Jets had a game in Baltimore in 2011, and Nick had a bad high ankle sprain. And I remember watching him try to warm up in the end zone and seeing Rex and Tannenbaum and the trainers out there watching him and cringing that he couldn't go. Like, you could just tell from the body language, he couldn't go. And there was a guy, God bless his heart, Colin Baxter, that was, wasn't quite ready for that chance. You know what? It's because Max Mitchell was playing. I was telling someone this story. I said, hopefully Max Mitchell doesn't have a Colin Baxter moment. And the first play of the game, Ed Reed blitzed from the edge and just killed Sanchez. And it was all night long. Like, that was that Ravens defense with Ray and Ed and Haloti Nada, and like Mark just was killed. And it was like, holy crap. Like, this is because Mangold isn't on the field. Like, because they just don't know what they're doing right now. Like, they don't know who to block. And I was like, all right, there's the MVP case for Mangold. But, and I know, Nick, like, that was your first injury, right? Like, that was the first, you had missed the Raiders game before that, and that one, like, it was painful. But I just remember that was like, this is, you could tell how good Nick was when he wasn't on the field.
Yeah, that was tough. Trying to get going. And there was no hope for Oakland especially having to fly to the West Coast. So we didn't even think about that one. But then going down to Baltimore, we were trying, and we did everything we could, and I'm out there. And I was like, I don't know, I think I can do it. And the training staff and the coaches just look at me like, yeah, you can't do it. It's like, yeah, but I think I can. Like, it'll be right. Like, yeah, I mean, that's all well and good, but you can't do it. And so that was difficult for me, like having fully suited up and then not being able to play was tough. That was the first time that's ever happened in my football lifetime. And so that was quite draining mentally, just for the fact, like, all right, I can't be out there. I was close to be out there, and it just couldn't work out. So that was tricky. And you hate seeing the stuff that you work on through the week and having it show up the exact way that you talk about it, and not being able to do anything about it was pretty rough. That was a rough game.
You don't see the durability as much today as you saw with guys like you and Brick. And like I said, I saw you with Mark Sanchez at a Yankee game a few months ago, 12 months removed since the AFC Championship, back-to-back appearance. What is that bond like with those guys, and with a guy especially like Mark? Is it just that his hands were under your butt for 10 years? Is it just that kind of relationship? Like, tell us about that bond that you guys have and those teammates have, and maybe a good Mark Sanchez story.
I got plenty of Mark Sanchez stories. Not a lot I can tell, but told. I got plenty of them. But it's I'm not sure what makes it so special. It's funny. We always joke that when he came into the league, he was so young and so green. And when you actually look at it realistically, I think he's only 3 years younger than me. And you look at it that way, and you're like, he's really not that young compared relatively. But where he was, I think maturity wise and everything, it was just a different level. And so Mark coming in, I think we just bonded. Like, he's a fantastic guy. I love him. I love his family. And we had some great times together on the field and off the field. And you do that as quarterback center relationships go. Most likely, like, that's going to be your closest person that you're talking to a lot, because you're trying to get information and share information throughout the week. So other than the offensive line, I mean, that's the next closest person. So having a good relationship is always, I think, crucial for a good quarterback center relationship. And it was neat. So Mark and I were able to spend time together, especially off the field. We did a lot together off the field. And it was so funny, because it felt so like spread out on our ages, but really we weren't that far off, which is funny. So then, like, Fitz coming in where we're actually the same age, and then same maturity level, like, that's pretty cool too. But and it's nice that Mark and I have been able to stay in touch and stay connected, even after all these years. I think that just shows the bond that we had.
Who handles liquor more, you or him?
Oh, me, obviously. I'm much more well-trained. I have 4 of those little nuggets where he only has 1. So he's not quite there yet.
You mentioned Fitz, Nick. That was the other kind of special year. It didn't last as long as that other run, but that year was crazy. That 2015 ride, and you and Fitz really bonded. That team felt like it had great chemistry in 15. And then not in 16. Just can you reflect on those 2 years and just kind of, the ride in 2015, and then what kind of went wrong in 16?
Yeah, I mean, 15, it was, 15 wasn't really supposed to happen, because Gino was, at that point was the starter. And then we heard, the punch heard around the world. And so Fitz just gets thrust into it. And it was kind of, I don't know, if Fitz has this great ability, where everyone knows he played at Harvard and he went to Harvard, graduated from But he's not one of the Harvard guys that will tell you that he graduated from Harvard. Like he knows he's the smartest guy in the room, but he also won't tell you that he's the smartest guy in the room. And I think that's why he's, you talk to as many locker rooms as he's been around. I don't think there's too many people that would, disagree that, Fitz is a very likable guy. And I think that's his personality, his upbringing, and the way that he carries himself. And, we had a lot of that. No one knew what 15 was going to be. It was Todd Bowles' first year. The craziness ensued with starting quarterback, getting his jaw broken. Fitz being thrown in there. Decker and Marshall coming together and being a crazy tandem duo. And it was a lot of fun. It was very disappointing that we didn't make the playoffs that year. I think the crash in Buffalo after the high of winning and beating New England was very disappointing, obviously. And you go in the offseason and you're like, well, what the hell just happened? Like how did that even be possible? And then leading into 16 was just such a weird year, starting from the beginning, with Fitz kind of doing a holdout type thing with the contract impasse with McCagnon, and McCagnon then negotiating against himself, and like everyone knowing that Fitz was going to be back, but you go through spring practices and Gino's running as number one, and everyone's just sitting there like, well, we know Fitz is coming back, so like it's all kind of pointless. And it was also, I think it was a little disappointing too, watching that all go down, and Gino being there and not taking the reins as much as I thought he could. Whereas all right, I'm gonna show the front office and the teammates that, hey, listen, Fitz isn't here. I'm the guy now, and I'm gonna lead, and this is gonna be my team. And him not really being able to take those reins and do it, I thought was a missed opportunity. And then Fitz comes back in, and I think there was strife amongst defensive guys and offensive guys, and things. It wasn't as easy, I think, as it was in 15. And so when the adversity really hit, I don't think we had the full team unity that we thought we had.
A few more minutes with Nick Mangold at Nick Mangold on Twitter, joining the Jets Ring of Honor on Sunday. Still some tickets left. Jets Bengals. Go get your tickets now on Ticketmaster to come out to what should be a raucous atmosphere on Sunday. This current team, Nick, Sunday was miraculous. No one saw it coming. Are you seeing the tables turn and the Jets start to maybe be, I'm not going to say playoff team because, I'd be smoking crack saying that at this point, but in a year, maybe next year, do you see this team, the tide turning and this being a playoff team in the next year?
Yeah, it's always tough for the playoffs to make that your designation line of like, all right, this is where they're at. I think what I really enjoy, sitting back and I do stuff with the team. I do content. I am kind of
good tailgate videos. You were with Gotham City Crew. I enjoyed that tailgate.
That was a good time. What do you call it? The carpet bomb was amazing. The hot dog, the corn dog, jalapeno popper
juicy,
type thing.
Yeah.
Ooh, that thing was good. Is that the way that Joe Douglas and Robert Salah are doing things what appears to be the right way, and they're taking the what doesn't really get done anymore because everyone in today's day and age wants the quick fix. We get our news instantly popping up on our phone. Everyone wants things right now. And they're building for the long term. And I think that's huge. I think Joe Douglas has put a emphasis on the offensive line, which I might be a little biased, but I do like that approach. And so we've been hit a little bit on the injury bug side, but there is a focus there, and I like that. Unlike previous predecessors that just kind of completely ignored it. I think there is a direction there. So I like the direction that they're going. They seem to be lock in step as they're going. I don't like as many losses as we've taken, but it has been a very young team. And so I think that experience will hopefully help him grow. I love the fight that was there last Sunday. Unfortunately, I didn't see the fourth quarter. I was out promoting barbecue sauce on Long Island. And so I saw the first half with some fans out on the island. And I was driving home and my son calls me, my little 6-year-old, and he goes, "Daddy, the Jets won." I'm like, yeah, I don't think that happened, buddy. They were down when I left. I'd be shocked. And he goes, "No, they scored a touchdown. They won." And then my wife got on. She goes, "Yeah, it was crazy. Last 2 minutes, it was a rush." And so I think I like that. I like seeing that fight, and being able to do special things. I think that onside kick was beautiful, making that happen. And I find it funny, Nick Chubb, especially him coming out, being like, "I lost that." And in my mind, it was like, well, the 11 guys on defense didn't really help you out. I probably would have scored 2, would be up 2 scores and, think your defense could hold a little bit. So I think he's taking a little bit more blame than he should be. But it was good to see. And so it was great being at the facility today. It's always better with a win. And so that was good to see. And now it's going to be a big test this weekend. Coming in the 0-2 Bengals, who desperately need a win. Will we be able to handle the task? And so it's a big question mark. And I know coach is going to get those guys going. And so I'm hoping for a win. Selfishly, because I'd like to have a good time Sunday night as we celebrate. So I'm kind of pushing like, hey, let's make sure we get this win here. Help a guy out.
Last one for me, Nick. Nick and I ran into each other spring or summer. We ran into each other in New Jersey. He was eating lunch with his wife, and I was walking by on the street there. And
that's better than the bathroom stall.
That's better than the bathroom stall. Much better. Sanchez wasn't there, but it was much better. What struck me, like, Nick, there a lot of guys rent houses here for the football season. Go home in the winter. Like, you made a home here. Curious, a guy from Ohio coming here, were you intimidated at all by New York at first? And then when did you really, embrace it? Like, because, Jake mentioned Rangers games, Yankees games, like you've kind of embraced the whole city. When did that kind of click for you?
I think it was early on. It was when I got drafted and we were coming out here for the mini camp, and we landed at LaGuardia.
Right, it was Hofstra.
Driving out to Hofstra, yep. Which is funny when you hit them with the trivia, like, "Oh, we used to be on Long Island," and a lot of, especially the younger guys around the team and everything, and even some of the front office people, like, "What do you mean you're at Hofstra?"
Hofstra class of 2013 here, baby. Let's go.
I'm sorry. I apologize for you. You had to go through that. I saw the buildings there. And so I remember as we're driving out to the practice facility and we're going, had to be it might have been on the LIE, I guess, or maybe one of the parkways, the Northern Parkway. And I was like, "Where's all the tall buildings?" Like, this isn't New York City. Like, this is some weird place that we've landed. I have no idea where I am. It's very confusing. And so I think that kind of gave me a bit of a shock there, because I had, growing up in Ohio, I had no idea about Long Island, and, knew nothing about it. And maybe that's a product of my schooling. I don't know. But it was kind of a culture shock getting there. So we had a condo in Westbury, right next to Hofstra there, which happened to be right on the Long Island Railroad. And so my wife and I, as I was 22, she was 23. Like, well, what are we doing? I guess we'll go into the city and take the train. And so, we'd pop in whenever we could, taking the train, and just kind of fell in love with the city, and everything that you could do. Especially, you may or may not have noticed, I am a little bit larger than most people, and I like food. And so being able to, like, oh my God, like, we went to a German restaurant, we go to a steakhouse, we go, a Mexican place, like, there's so much that the city has to offer. And I really fell in love with it. And when we moved to, I didn't will say Long Island, it was culture shock for a young kid from Ohio. But when we moved to Jersey in 2008, we bought our house here. And it was right after the housing downturn, so we got a good deal on it. And so we bought a house, and you're like, all right, we're settling in. It felt better. Like it was more, we were 30 minutes away from horse farms, still an hour away from the city. Newark Airport's 20 minutes away, so we can fly anywhere direct. It was like, this isn't a bad spot. And I think the roots just got deeper and deeper around here. I fell in love with the Yankees when Nick Swisher was picked up with him, and he was playing, because Nick and I used to work out in the winter at Ohio State. So I was like, all right, it looks like it's Yankees, which I know honks off a lot of the Jets fans. Like, well, you should be a Mets fan.
Ooh, let's go Mets.
I was like, I'm sorry, I apologize. It's just I knew the guy and he got me tickets, so like I became a Yankees fan. And then Rangers was a happy accident. It was just we were going out and Fitz had a connection there, and it was my first time seeing live hockey, really, being down by the ice, and I felt like it was hook, line, and sinker. They got me, and so I fell in love with that. And so it just, and doing Broadway, my kids love the city. My little son, for his 5th birthday, he wanted to go in and see the Dino Bones at the Natural History Museum. We used to take my older son into the park and just kind of walk around, and do all New York stuff. So really just fell in love with the area and with the people. It's a very, especially the Jets, it's a very loyal fan base. They demand excellence, which is understandable. And they were very, they took me in. And I don't know if it was because I looked ridiculous with long hair and a big old beard. It was like, all right, we got to do something with this guy. But they always had a great support for me, and I appreciated that, and the connection that you have to the first responders around here, the police and firefighters and everything. That connection with the Jets, it seems like that's a strong fan base that goes along with it, which is really cool. Having firefighters in my family, it's a neat connection for me, and it's been fun, raising. So my oldest is 11 now. We've gone back and forth to Ohio every once in a while, but nothing too crazy. And this is his home, and other kids obviously as well. So it's been nice. There's great people around here. I love the little town that we're in, and I hate the taxes. I will tell you that the taxes are absolutely terrible.
Yes.
But that is, and
Jersey.
I think that's why guys do it, which is sad that they don't get to really make roots here, because they're like, well, why am I going to pay all this money in taxes when I don't have any kids that I'm sending to school? Like, it seems stupid. So it makes sense, but it's also disappointing because everyone who leaves here, and especially guys I play with, like, I think there's only a handful of guys left around. There's Bart Scott, Willie's still here, T. Rich is still here,
Woody's still around, right? Damian
Woody's still here, and that's about it. And everyone else just kind of goes away, and it's difficult to stay in touch with people as they move away. And I'm like, I'm still here, guys. Like, let's hang out. But I love it. And so we've since moved from the house that we bought in 2008, just to be closer to the kids' school. And I told my wife, I was like, the next move I'm making is 6 feet under.
Yes.
I can't do this.
Everyone who's moved can relate to that.
I was like, I hope you're happy here, because we ain't going anywhere else.
Clearly, you got tired of the announcements of this is the train to Ronkonkoma. The next stop is Mineola. Maryland support system. No one ever got on.
We played the train drinking game. Was a riot.
What was that?
So every time it was the little chime, it was like ding dong, would come on. You had a drink. Every time they said the station, like they were like, oh, Westbury, you had a drink. So you get a tall boy at Penn Station, sit on the train, play the train drinking game home, and you walk across the street, you're home and go to bed.
You're reliving my Hofstra days very well, Nick, where we got rid of our football team after my freshman year, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Rough
Well, listen, I
times.
had so much fun with Willie on that. I was like, so what school are you following again? He goes, shut up. They got rid of football. Get out of here.
Might explain why I'm not a big college football guy. After, I went to like 2 games, it rained every Saturday, and then they're like, all right, let's take care of medical stuff instead of football. I'm like, football is more important than a medical school. Let's be real. Anyways, thanks to Nick Mangold. Congrats. You're going to the Ring of Honor on Sunday. Can't wait to be there. I'll be doing a post-game show with your old teammate, Tony Richardson, after the game at American Dream Mall next door. So we're looking forward to seeing you. Congrats on everything. And yeah, congrats. And hopefully next year we'll be talking about you for the Hall of Fame. As Kaz doesn't have a vote, he knows people who do. So he'll put a good word in.
Yeah, what the hell, guys? Come on.
Yeah, I'll try.
No, but it's fun. Don't let T Rich tell you that he lives in the city. He actually lives in Long Island City.
He's my neighbor. I'm in Astoria. He's Long Island City. He's next door. Yeah.
Every once in a while he'd be like, "Oh, I'm in the city." Like, no, T Rich. No.
Well, it's one of the 5 boroughs of New York City. Don't hate on Queens like that. We are a borough, and we're 20 minutes from Midtown. We're not far.
Long Island.
No, we're not. Oh,
It's
this is a debate for another podcast.
It's attached.
Long Island's separate. I'm 8 minutes from LaGuardia, so it's Manhattan kind of. It's just
it's
Manhattan kind of. Oh, yeah.
The food is great here, Nick. Though Astoria, we have incredible food. Long Island City, incredible food. So.
I believe it. I'm not going to go there.
All right,
it's not Manhattan.
Another time. We appreciate the time, bro.
Thanks,
Thank
Nick.
you very much. Appreciate you guys.
Congratulations, man.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you. Appreciate it.